I'm in beautiful Toulouse in
Oh la
southwest
la,
France.
it is
I've
beautiful.
managed to get here by flying from Stansted rather than Heathrow.
Okay.
Although, to be fair, I've just got off the phone from British Airways. They say they've got a 100% operation today, which, of course, is the first day that has happened since Thursday. They were the worst affected airline, but we have seen 250,000 people now have their travel plans torn up as a result of the shutdown.
And we've heard today, and it was something you were alluding to when we spoke on Friday, that you had a hunch that the picture wasn't quite as straightforward as we thought. That Heathrow, the National Grid's chief exec, I should say, has said that Heathrow had enough power from other substations to continue to operate. Now, Heathrow have pushed back on that with their explanation, and I know we're going to hear from the Transport Secretary at 3:30 in the Commons. What's your sense of things with all of that?
Okay, so, well, obviously, as you could have predicted, Sheila, the blame game has begun. I've been trying, of course, to put lots and lots of questions to Heathrow. And so tell us more about this close down, because I've also been speaking to airline insiders who say, yeah, I walked through Terminal 3 and Terminal 5 at Heathrow on Friday. Yeah. All the lights were on, everything was running. Now, there might have been things behind the scenes, maybe some aspects of security which weren't working. But bluntly, they felt that half the terminals, Terminal 5, Terminal 3, not Terminal 2 or Terminal 4, were working okay. And the other thing I've said to them is, hang on, I can't remember the number of times I've spoken to Shelagh Fogarty on LBC from Gatwick, where one of their terminals or other has fallen over. And of course, it's not great, but they do manage to keep the show on the road, whether it's flooding, whether it's electricity, whether it's IT. And I'm kind of reaching the point, and this is pure speculation, where I think Heathrow were just thinking, we're an infrastructure operator. We don't like what's happened. We're not sure what's happened. We don't know exactly when we'll get it fixed. So we're just going to close down. As opposed to thinking, there's 250,000 people out there. There's 20,000 of them on planes already heading for the UK. What's going to happen to them? What can we possibly do to help them? And basically, they seem just to have thought, shrugged and said, well, too difficult for us. We'll obviously do what we can, but let's just close down today, Friday, completely, and we'll warn people we might not get going for a few more days, which is what they first initially said in the early hours of Friday morning.
Which you said could well have been an abundance of caution, but it looks as though, well, we'll see what the facts reveal once the investigations have happened. But it looks as though, I think your hunch is correct. It looks as though they just said, right, we can't be doing with all that nonsense while we sort this big thing out. Which isn't how infrastructure managers and crisis managers should respond, is it really?
Well, except that, I mean, when I have talked to you from Gatwick, there have been 8 million people behind me all trying to find out what's going on. Oh. And so you can kind of see, do we want any of those passengers? I mean, everyone, as it was, everyone was showing up. I was hearing stories from people who were saying, yep, they were getting taxis. And when the taxis took them any further, they were walking to desperately try to sort out their flights. So it might have been, they just thought, we could get into even more of a pickle if we've got, they were expecting 125,000 outbound passengers on Friday. If half of those turn up, even though they haven't got flights, what are we going to do with them? We can't cope with that.
And it was interesting to hear Heidi Alexander, the Transport Secretary, this morning when she was speaking to Nick Ferrari. And, there was this position that they are a private company. There's no reason why we should have known the detail of how they operate in a crisis. Well, I would beg to differ about that and perhaps say that because of what you're operating, private or not, we need to work very much hand in glove about safety and about crisis management and about what you do if the whole thing shuts down. What are the circumstances in which, what is a never event, what isn't, that kind of stuff. But what would be your expectation as to, and with your thoughts about other countries and how they operate as well, of that relationship?
Okay, well, the UK, as so many times, is an outlier. It's an unusual case because we don't have enough aviation resilience in the UK, obviously, because we've got the world's busiest 2-runway airport, Heathrow, world's busiest single runway airport, Gatwick. So we're overstretched anyway. But the very least, fire breaks out, power issue. You've actually got a few hours to play with, not very many, but you surely have the chief executive of British Airways, which is more than half of Heathrow's operations, the chief executive of Heathrow Airport, the transport secretary, or someone extremely senior from the Department for Transport, and you try and work it out from there, rather than, oh, we're a private infrastructure operator, we're going to have a pretty miserable Friday.
And we'll
so
let you
let's
know
just,
on Monday. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And look, I mean, it would have cost Heathrow many millions of pounds in lost revenue, as well, of course, as the airlines who take the mostly take the financial hit. And I think it may be just they were thinking, oh, what do we do? But exactly as you summed it up, it looks too difficult. Let's shut down, and we'll let them know when we're good and ready to go ahead.
Yeah, the lessons learnt phase is not far away, is it?
I'm looking forward very much to reading the various reviews and investigations.